It's 2 a.m. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wide awake for no reason you can name. You didn't drink coffee today. You're not stressed about anything specific. You just can't sleep. Your first instinct is to blame something modern. Blue light, anxiety, too much screen time before bed. But the real answer is far stranger than any of that. For most of human history, lying awake in the middle of the night wasn't a malfunction. It was the plan. Your ancestors weren't supposed to sleep through the night the way you're trying to right now. And the fact that you can't is your body trying to do something it was built to do, in a world that no longer lets it. To understand this, you have to throw out the modern idea of sleep entirely. The 8 uninterrupted hours, the one continuous block from lights out to alarm clock, isn't ancient. It isn't even old. It's recent, and it's largely an invention of artificial light and industrial schedules. A historian named Roger Ekirch spent over a decade digging through old diaries, court records, medical texts, and literature from before the 1800s. What he found, again and again, buried casually in centuries of documents, was a pattern nobody had really noticed before. People described sleeping in 2 distinct shifts: a first sleep, beginning shortly after dark, then a period of waking in the middle of the night, then a second sleep lasting until morning. This wasn't insomnia. It wasn't rare or remarkable. It was so ordinary that people barely commented on it, the way you wouldn't comment on eating lunch. Letters and diaries referred to first sleep and second sleep as plainly as you'd refer to breakfast and dinner. Some medical texts even recommended the time between the 2 sleeps for specific activities like quiet reflection or even conceiving children, treating that middle-of-the-night window as a normal, expected part of the day. So what happened in that gap? This is where it gets interesting. People didn't lie there, frustrated, willing themselves back to sleep. They got up. They tended the fire. They talked quietly with a spouse. They prayed. They visited neighbors, sometimes walking through the dark streets to do it. Some read, if they had a candle and could afford one. Some simply lay in bed in a state somewhere between sleep and waking, present with their thoughts without panic, because there was no reason to panic. Nothing was wrong with them. This was just what nighttime was. Why would the human body evolve to wake up in the middle of the night on purpose? Researchers studying sleep architecture, including psychiatrist Thomas Wehr, found a clue almost by accident. Wehr ran an experiment in the early 1990s where he placed participants in conditions of extended darkness, 14 hours a night, mimicking the long nights of pre-industrial winters. With no artificial light to push their schedules later and no jobs demanding a single continuous sleep block, something remarkable happened. The participants' sleep split on its own. Without being told to, without expecting it, they fell into the same 2-phase pattern Ekirch had found buried in centuries-old diaries. A few hours of sleep, a quiet waking period, then more sleep. This wasn't a fluke of one group of people. It looked like a default setting, one that modern light and modern schedules had simply written over. Here's the counterintuitive twist. We've come to treat that 2 a.m. waking as a problem to be fixed. An entire industry exists to help you sleep through it. Pills, apps, white noise machines, all built on the assumption that one unbroken block of sleep is what a healthy body is supposed to do. But for most of the time humans have existed, segmented sleep wasn't a disorder. It might have been the default. Predators were less active near dawn and dusk than in the dead of night, and a body that woke briefly in darkness to check its surroundings, then returned to sleep, had a survival advantage over one that didn't. Think about what your nervous system might actually be doing at 2 a.m. Not malfunctioning, listening. An ancient low-level scan of the environment that your modern brain still runs, even though there's nothing in your bedroom to scan for anymore. This reframes something else too. The panic. If you wake at 2 a.m. today, your first thought is usually dread. Something's wrong. I'll be exhausted tomorrow. I need to fall back asleep right now. That panic itself, the urgency to force unconsciousness, may be doing more damage than the waking ever did. Your ancestors who woke in the night didn't lie there catastrophizing about tomorrow's productivity. They got up. They existed quietly in the dark. And then, when their body was ready, they slept again. The modern world removed the option to gently exist in that gap. Artificial light pushed bedtimes later, work schedules demand a single block of sleep squeezed into a shrinking window, and waking at 2 a.m. now feels like losing precious time you can't afford to lose. The biology didn't change. The permission to follow it did. So the next time you wake in the dark hours and your mind starts racing with dread, consider a different story. You are not broken. You're not failing at sleep. You are running a program written by hundreds of thousands of nights under open skies. When waking in darkness wasn't a crisis, it was simply Tuesday. Maybe the goal isn't to force yourself back into a single unbroken block every night. Maybe it's to stop being afraid of the gap, to let your mind sit quietly in that ancient, ordinary in-between space, the same way your ancestors once did by firelight, waiting for the second sleep to come on its own. It's 2 a.m. You're lying in bed. And for the first time, the silence doesn't feel like something broken. It feels like something very, very old.